and welcome to San Jose State. Today we have Advisor Hugo, who you've already met from the CHHS Student Success Center. We also have Mr. Daniel Bohegian, who's one of our advisors in the major. And we really want to encourage you to come into the department for your major advising. The Student Success Center does a great job on GE, but in terms of advising in the major, we'd like to see you here. And we also have Miss Wilson. She's going to be really important in terms of getting information. You'll get lots of communication and email really from both of them. But Miss Wilson's going to be a really important contact person. So welcome into the department. We're going to start out. I'm being tested already on my PowerPoint and other skills. So let me find the video I want to show you all. And that'll be a nice introduction to the department. And then from there, we'll get into our presentation. So let me, there we go. All right. Too many different things. And let me know if the sound does not come through. So Ms. Wilson, I'm going to look at you. Oh, and let me know if the sound is working. So I'll look for a thumbs up.
For more than 150 years, San Jose State University has been training students for work in sports, teaching, fitness, and sports management through its kinesiology programs.
The Department of Kinesiology started as a Department of Physical Education in 1862, and it is the first Department of Kinesiology on the West Coast.
Tamar Semerjian is department chair.
We're going to prepare you in all aspects of our field. So you're going to understand exercise physiology, biomechanics, sports sociology, sport history, measurement and evaluation, statistics.
But it's not just about the X's and O's of a kinesiology degree.
Our students are trained to be leaders. We encourage our students to take on leadership roles, and that's why you see them as athletic directors. That's why you see them in professional sports, and that's why you see them as leaders in community.
Alyssa Villaruz handles the season tickets for the MLS San Jose Earthquakes and is a kinesiology graduate.
The relationships that I put into getting to know my professors and getting to know the students around me helped me realize that I could do that in sports as well and in my career. So it's it allowed me to be a little bit more open, whereas before I might have been a little bit more shy to put myself out there like that.
The program takes a holistic approach to kinesiology. Students are immersed in every aspect of the discipline, from the psychological and physical to the business and historical side of sports, to wellness, sports management, and teacher education.
We train our students in each of those areas. We don't just focus on one, we focus on all of them, and we value all of them. And you see that in the diversity of our faculty, ethically and culturally, but also disciplinarily. All right, so I like to show that since we can't have you on campus and you can't see the department. I am on campus today, but we like to show you that video so that you can see what the department looks like and get to know us a little bit better. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation, talk a little bit about the department. If y'all have questions along the way, you can put them in the chat. I will not be able to see them while I'm doing the presentation, and I'll also be going back and forth between the presentation and our webpage. But Ms. Wilson and Mr. Bohegian can answer your questions, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end to answer those questions as well. So I'm going to roll. All right. So we're the Department of Kinesiology, and what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about the department. You heard a little bit about it on the video, and then also talk about our website, social media contacts, and Ms. Wilson, you can jump in at that point if there's things I'm missing. We'll talk a little bit about the core curriculum. I saw during the last presentations, y'all had lots of questions about what you should be taking, so hopefully we'll be able to direct you in that area. We'll talk about the specializations and majors in our department, and then steps to graduation. And then at the end, Ms. Wilson will give you very important information on how you're going to find your major advisor. So a little bit about the department, as I said in the video. The The Department of Physical Education was established in 1862. And if you know about the field of kinesiology, you may know that most of these departments were physical education departments. In the 90s, the department name changed to Human Performance. You still see HUP signs and things around the department if you find some vintage items. Our name changed to kinesiology in the early 2000s. Right now, we have 20 tenure track faculty representing the diversity of our field. I talked about that in the video as well. We have faculty in every major area in our tenure track faculty. And like I said, I think that's something pretty unique about San Jose State is that we're not just exercise physiology or just sport studies. We really value all those different areas in our field. And our mission is that in an atmosphere of social justice, equity, and respect for diversity, the mission of the Department of Kinesiology is to create and disseminate knowledge, engage in community service, prepare and graduate exemplary kinesiology professionals, as well as meet individual and societal needs for physical activity, sport, movement, and wellness. And I want to point out that social justice piece isn't new. That's something we've always been committed to, and that has long been in our mission statement. And in light of a lot of the social justice activism and awareness and changes that have been happening, there are a lot of steps we're taking within the department in terms of coursework, training for faculty, and really robust discussions about diversity in the department. In terms of what you're going to do, your parents want to know what kind of jobs you're going to get. We're good preparation for physician's assistant. A lot of students, I'm guessing the majority of you are going to want to go into physical therapy, occupational therapy, sports medicine, chiropractic, and other allied health professions. We also are a great training ground for physical education and adaptive physical education teachers. You may want to be a wellness program director, and this could be in a corporate setting, in a school or recreational setting. Sport managers or administrators, athletic trainers, personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches. We also prepare a lot of students to go on for graduate work. So whether that's in exercise physiology, biomechanics, sports psychology, sport sociology, sport history, we train our students to go on to those fields as well. If you're looking for information about the department, everything you need to know is on that webpage. So I'm going to pop out of here in a moment and show you that. But sjsu.edu/kinesiology is where everything you need to know is. And one of the important items in there is the Undergraduate Handbook. So I'll show you that. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at KinSJSU. Victoria, do we have our Instagram? We're working on our Instagram.
We do have an Instagram up right now, and it's just Kinesiology SJSU.
Thank you. Our advising manager is Mr. Daniel Bohegian, who's here, and he's been pretty spectacular.
Thank you. Yes, as the email is indicating, any general questions you have before you might get signed as a main advisor, which we'll cover later on, send me an email. Specific questions are ideal, so you see my email listed there. I'm glad to assist you until you get assigned your main advisor.
Thank you. Our undergraduate coordinator is Dr. Chin. She'll also be available to answer sort of high-level questions about the undergraduate program. And so it's going to be really important first to get that major advisor, and most of the questions you're going to have, which should be answered at that level. And then Miss Christina Castro, I've got to get used to saying, and she's working on getting her email changed, but right now it's still Christina.Carrillo. She'll be able to help you with internships. And most of you aren't quite there yet, but when you are ready to take that internship, she'll be your point of contact. So I'm going to switch over to the web page for a moment. Figure out how to make all this work. All right. And so this is our webpage. Ms. Wilson's been working really hard to update it. So she's probably looking at this, waiting for the pretty new version to come out. We're hoping to launch that in the fall, certainly by the end of the year. But all the information you need is here. And one of the really important things for you all to look at is the Undergraduate Handbook. You should read that. Most of the questions that you will ask Mr. Bohegian or Ms. Wilson or myself or anyone else will be in the handbook. So this is some very nice light summer reading for you. to read the Undergraduate Handbook. But we do really encourage you to take a look at this. As I said, all the questions you have are going to be in here. So I'm going to scroll through, don't get dizzy. And what I wanted you to look at, the table of contents, you can see there's everything. And what classes do I need? What should I be taking? All of that will be answered here. And so the mission, our vision, clubs, all that good stuff is here. And then close your eyes as I scroll through. And then we talk about the various major requirements for the bachelor's. So there's going to be prerequisites, university GE requirements, our core, which I'll show you, and then specializations, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and then the international experience. So this is broad strokes what you need to do to graduate. Scroll down again. This is our core. So these are the classes that all of our students take. So if you haven't already taken an introduction to kinesiology course, this is something you're going to want to sign up for as soon as possible. Then all of our students take exercise physiology, biomechanics. Some of you have a choice of history, philosophy, and sociocultural perspectives of sport. If you're in sport management, you'll take all of those. Some of the other specialization areas also call for more than one. Some of you will take either motor development or motor learning, but a lot of specializations also require both of those. So you'll see that when you're looking at your area of specialization. I'll talk about what that is in a moment. Measurement and evaluation, senior seminar, and then our majors take a total of 6 activity classes in 4 different areas. So I'm not going to go through all the other pages, but let's say you are an exercise and fitness specialist. You would take the core requirements plus what is on this page to graduate. Mr. Bohegian, do you want to jump in there?
Sure. Yes. So as Dr. Semerjian mentioned, definitely read the handbook. That's not saying that I can't answer any questions, but 9 times out of 10 will direct you back to the handbook. So make sure you are going through the handbook. Make sure you're paying attention to the core, and then ultimately you will be choosing a specialization. And I can even assist you with that as well, just kind of bouncing some ideas back and forth. But definitely read that handbook. Read it slowly. Take notes. It's about 50 pages, but the majority of it, I'm not going to say it's a novel by any means, but take your time. Read it. If you have questions about it, please reach out to me. Glad to help you out. But everything you need is going to be in there. Pay close attention to the core. Prerequisites are also extremely important. Make sure you're not taking any classes, quote unquote, out of order. Make sure you're hitting all those prerequisites, and make sure that you're checking with the handbook, even after you've read it a few times. So that is your point of information, your main source of information to ensure, that we're taking the proper classes and all that good stuff. So I always want to repeat that message maybe 10 or 15 times throughout this presentation. So you will get tired of that.
Thank you. All right. So those areas of specialization, these are areas, we have 2 majors in the department. One is the Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, and the other one is a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology preparation for teaching. So if you're going into being a teacher, that is the avenue you will take. Otherwise, you will be in the BS Kinesiology. And then you will specialize in one of these other areas. So exercise and fitness specialist is going to be an avenue for you if you're interested in becoming a strength and conditioning coach, working in a cardiac rehab setting, anything in the exercise and fitness area. So personal training, those sorts of things are all going to be an exercise and fitness specialist. Rehab science is where a lot of you think you want to be. It may not be the right place for you, and we encourage you to look at other options. But if you're looking at physical therapy, that will get you prepared to get those prereqs, the chemistry, the physics, all of those prereq classes that you need for PT. IPAC has become incredibly popular. This is inclusive physical activity in communities. And this is if you're interested in working across the developmental lifespan. So if you're interested in youth, if you're interested in older adults, if you're interested in working with people with disabilities, anything that relates to physical activity in communities, this is a great path. It's also a path forward for occupational therapy. So a lot of students who want to go into OT will choose IPAC. Sport management and culture is sport management, but with a social justice, cultural studies lens. And so students who are interested in sport management, going into the sports industry, sport management and culture is the pathway for you. For students interested in sports psychology, sports sociology, history, philosophy, that's also a great path. So for students who want to go on and do baccalaureate work, get a master's, get a PhD, that can be a really good avenue. Very rarely you are so special and so unique that you will need your own individualized studies major. This might be somebody who really wants to do sport journalism but wants to major in kinesiology. This is something you would work on very early with Mr. Bohegian, and you apply to do this. So this isn't an automatic path. This is something that you have to apply and be accepted with your proposal to get into. So those are the areas of specialization. Mr. Bohegian, Ms. Wilson, you want to chime in?
Sure. So yes, as previously mentioned, individualized studies, there's generally going to be a specialization that is right for you. But if you do have questions, send me a message. Individualized study, it's a rare thing that it'll ultimately get approved, but it has been done. But yeah, we emphasize trying to find a specialization out of the 4 or 5 that we have listed explicitly. So again, read that handbook. You'll probably get tired of me hearing that or saying that, but read the handbook. It's got little descriptions. But again, send me a message. Happy to chat with you. Just give me as much information as you're comfortable with, and we can dive deeper into the details as we go.
Thanks. All right, we've talked a little bit about the handbook. So a little bit more about the handbook. So what's in there? Prerequisites, grade minimums. Lower division general education, really the Student Success Center is going to be a good place. And the catalog. The updated SJSU catalog is online and live. There are amazing resources there as well. So the information in our handbook in terms of what classes you need to take is also in the handbook. So lower division general education, upper division general education, and you'll get more information about that over your summer orientation, and you probably got some earlier. So those are the SJSU studies. We call them R, S, V, and Z. And then I mentioned the Kinesiology Core. Those are classes all of our students take. Areas of specializations we've also talked about. And then within some of those, there are guided electives. The way that we are doing advising within our computer system now is something called My Progress. And you will see in My Progress that they're already, you'll be able to see what guided electives are already approved for you. And if you have space. So some of those, teacher education, I don't think has any, maybe very few. Guided electives. The other areas might have a few classes that you can take, and other areas have a wider latitude in terms of guided electives, but we have pre-approved classes. Mr. Bohegian?
Correct. I was just going to reiterate that fact as well. I saw a question about a minor earlier, and that may have been for kinesiology. It's very rare that you're going to find a minor going to be applicable for a specialization other than like a sport management and culture. A lot of the other specializations, we have everything kind of laid out for you. But like sports management and culture is one of the specializations that if you do want to pursue like a business minor, there are options there. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully I answered a question from earlier.
Yeah, so minors, especially in sport management and culture, business, psychology, and sociology are already approved, but you can work with us if there's another minor that you're interested in pursuing. All of our undergraduates do an internship. So within teacher education, it's a separate kind of internship. So it's a placement where you would go into a school and do observation hours. But all of our students have a hands-on practical component. How many units varies depending on your area of specialization. But the idea is for you to go see what that career looks like. Is that for you? Some people really think they want to go into PT, and then they go to the PT clinic and go, this is not what I want to do. And so the internship is a great opportunity to make professional connections. A lot of our students end up getting hired in the places where they have internships. So we built that into the programs. You can build your schedule in My Planner. You'll learn much more about this, particularly probably in the summer orientation if you didn't today. So you'll learn how to use My Planner and My Progress to do planning. And then all of our students also do an international experience. And so again, you'll get more information from the Student Success Center, and they'll be able to advise you on that. And so steps to graduation. I'm trying to remember if there's something else I wanted to show you, but we'll come back to that later. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. I will switch over. I did want to show folks the roadmaps because I think, I saw that question earlier about what classes are we supposed to take? How do we know what classes to take? Okay, if this goes away, I can switch over. Yep. So if you just Google search roadmaps, Kin, SJSU, you will get to the 4-year roadmaps at San Jose State. So this is part of the catalog. And if you come down to the College of Health and Human Sciences, and let's look at exercise and fitness specialist as an example, this will show you the roadmap. Now for transfer students, a lot of you have already taken the courses in these first 2 years, but you do want to look through. You'll see anatomy, physiology, Kin 160, 161, or 164 are the history, philosophy, sociology of sport classes, and intro. So those are kind of the only things in the major that we would need you to take that you maybe haven't taken at the community college level. So this will give you an idea of the kinds of classes you should be taking along the way. So these roadmaps are available online. So I wanted to show you that. So in terms of steps towards graduation, I've already mentioned my progress. This is going to be how you track your progress towards graduation. It is also how we'll audit your graduation. So it's really important that what's in my progress is accurate. It's not going to be accurate your first semester. You've already heard it's going to take some time for those transcripts to get evaluated by the registrar's office, but you do want to keep an eye on that. Again, make sure that you read and follow directions carefully. We get a lot of emails. Victoria's gotten a lot of emails this week, which are questions that she answered many times already this semester. So please read your emails from the kinesiology department, from Ms. Wilson, from myself, from Mr. Bohegian. Mr. Bohegian will also do advising workshops. Those are mandatory. You need to attend those so that you get the information about the department. So read and follow directions. Please be aware of deadlines. University deadlines are sometimes different from departmental deadlines. So the last day to add might be something, but we need you to submit things maybe a week or two in advance because there's work that we need to do at the departmental level. So please be attentive. Ms. Wilson, you want to share how they're going to join the email list?
Yeah, so the way that you guys will actually get on the departmental email list is I will be sending out a form for everybody to complete, and that's how you get assigned an advisor as well to get on our departmental email list. So if you guys do not complete that form, you won't get assigned a kin advisor and you will not get on our departmental email list. So it's very, very, very important as soon as you get that email to complete it right away.
Thank you. Meet with your advisor every semester. It is so important to have that relationship with your advisor, to have those conversations, to know where you're headed. I can speak for myself and probably Mr. Bohegian and every advisor in the department. We often see students in their last semester and they say, well, I didn't know. And how was I supposed to know? Well, if you had gone to the advising workshops, if you had met with your advisor, we want to help you. We're here to help you. So come meet your advisor. I have students who meet just to check in, and that's actually my happiest advising session. They don't need anything. They may not have any questions. We're just checking in to make sure that everything's on track. And those are sometimes the meetings where we catch things because it's a more relaxed meeting and we have time to really do a deep dive. And so it's really important to meet with your advisor every semester. And sometimes we're busy. I don't know if you could see my email. I only have 180 unread emails, most of which are to-dos and that I have actually read. But faculty will get their days that will come into 50 or 100 emails. And if your email is in the midst of that, it could get missed. And it's not because your faculty don't care. It's not because we don't want to talk to you. Trust me, you're the best thing that we get to do here. You're the fun part of our jobs. So we want to talk to you. So if you don't get a response the first time, follow up. Give your faculty member a couple days, maybe a week, and then follow up and say, oh, Dr. Semerjian, I didn't hear from you. I just wanted to follow up on this question that I have. And usually we'll say, oops, it got lost, and we're happy to deal with you. Not deal with you, we're happy to work with you and support you. And then 2 semesters before you expect to graduate, you're going to complete the online graduation application. And you'll get prompted with an email from the registrar's office and the college and the department. And so we'll remind you to apply online. And I see Mr. Bohegian is ready to.
I was just going to mention when you're sending an email, make sure you include your name and your SJSU ID number because, oftentimes I'll get a question and then I need to look into your My Progress, your records, your transfer. So if you're sending an email to faculty, include your full name, include your SJSU email address, and start to get used to using your SJSU email address, just kind of as a default as well. Many of you have like a Gmail or you might have a private or a personal email. Try to use the SJSU email though. Because that will afford you access to your My SJSU, your My Planner, and the library and the database and all this other cool stuff. So when sending an email, name, ID number, try to use your SJSU email, and you'll probably get a more efficient and quicker response back, just so there's no, email tag. So
thank you. All really important items. There we go. Another thing that's helpful to remember is to address faculty and staff appropriately. So, hey there, I just got an email from an upset student that said, "Hi, Tamar," and they are asking for something. And that is not a great way to get your faculty to respond to you. So if it's a professor who's earned a PhD or an EDD, use doctor. If not, you can use Miss or Mr. And professor is generally going to be fine for all instructors. So if you're not sure, professor is fine. But it's funny, just before this meeting, and Ms. Wilson knows how much I love this, I got a, "Hey, Tamar, I'm really mad about this thing." Maybe not a great way to start. So please use doctor or Mr. or Miss. But if somebody's earned a PhD or an EDD, you want to use doctor, and they may say, "Oh, it's okay to call me whatever," but start with doctor. Faculty are not available for advising during summer or winter break, and this is always a little challenging for transfer students coming in who are looking for some support and some guidance. And so the Student Success Center will be here this summer to get you all rolling, but make sure that you are seeking an appointment with your advisor during the semester. The first week is a mess for faculty. They're trying to get their classes together. They're getting 3,000 emails. They're coming off of their holidays. And the end of the semester, one of the things that happens a lot, this is the time, right? I don't know, Mr. Bohegian, if you're getting the students are like, because it's been the last day of class, they have a few days before finals, and now all of their advising questions have come up. But this is the time when our faculty are up to their eyeballs in grading papers. And so this is also the end of the semester and the beginning of the semester is not a great time to reach out. Were you going to say something, Mr. Bohegian?
Yes, sorry. I can't speak for the majority of the other faculty, but I will be checking in momentarily, here and there over the summer. So if you do have some questions that absolutely cannot wait, feel free to send me a message, send the CHHS a message as well, and we'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. But yes, summer is kind of a tricky part of the year. Everyone's winding down. So if you do have a question though, can't wait, feel free to send me a message. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible.
You guys can also send me. I graduated fall 2020, so I've been through kin grad. So I can try and answer as many questions as possible. If I can't, I will refer you to the CHHS over the summer. But I'm working all summer, Monday through Friday. So I'll be here, phone, email. So you guys can always reach out to me as well.
And I will also be around for most of the summer. I'm hoping to get away for a few weeks, but I will be around as well. So we're not leaving you in the lurch, but it is really important that you connect with your major advisor. That's your point of contact. They're the ones who are going to approve, sign off. If you have substitutions, if you have questions, that's where you should be going. So we really want to encourage you to seek them out mid-semester. Plan ahead. I think Ms. Wilson and I joke about having a sign like this in the department. Poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on your advisor's part. So make sure you're planning ahead and you know what's coming. And always be gracious. I had a student reach out last week and he said, "I know you're really busy. I don't know if you could meet with me. Could you possibly make some time? I understand if you can't." And I'm meeting with him tomorrow. So being graceful and gracious will get you further than "I need your help right now." So we all like to be treated well, and so we should all be kind. Make copies for yourself before submitting forms. Ms. Wilson, where do forms get submitted right now?
Right now, everything is online. Everything gets sent to me, and then I distribute it to wherever it needs to go. So most of the time, I'm the one sending stuff to Dr. Semerjian, registrar's office, dean's office. So pretty much everything comes through me right now. But everything's electronic. At this point in time, everything is electronic.
Thanks. All right, and advisor assignment. So this will be, Ms. Wilson will send you an email based on the email list that we got from the transfer orientation registration. And so you'll get an email this week and you will complete that student intake form. Until you do that, you are not on our email list. You do not have an advisor. So make sure you fill that form out. And again, advisors are available in the fall, but not in the summer and winter.
I also, on there, you can only access it using your MySJSU email. So if you signed up for the registration with your private email, it will tell you you don't have access. You have to open it using your MySJSU email. That's the only way it can be accessed.
And Advisor Hugo, do they have SJSU emails at this point?
They should.
Excellent.
They should. Some of them do actually. It depends on how far along they are in the admissions process. I believe about 80% of them have SJSU emails. And then they will all have, those that have completed most of their paperwork will have advising appointments by enrollment appointments. Enrollment appointments by June 1st, and they can start enrolling by June 7th. And yeah, so they should have SJSU emails at the latest June 1st.
If you guys don't, if anyone doesn't have a SJSU email right now, go ahead and email me and I can manually ask you the questions that are on there to make sure that you do get an advisor sooner than later.
Thanks, Ms. Olson. All right, so this is department contact information. That's our website. That is Victoria's number. She loves seeing that up there. And this is my email. So I'm going to stop sharing and we can open things up for questions. One thing I know that you all wanted us to talk about what classes are available right now. There's still good availability, but we're still in the priority registration mode, I think. And so the classes that are full right now, Kin 175, which is evaluation and measurement, is fairly full, but we have another section opening up. The classes that are generally going to have space are going to be that history, philosophy, sociology. We have enough sections and enough availability. There should be space there. Kinesiology classes tend to fill up pretty quickly. We're the second largest department on campus in terms of undergraduate enrollment. So we get a lot of students. We want to take good care of you, but for transfer students in particular, it is challenging. You have much earlier registration dates this year. So thanks to Hugo and your team for advocating for students to get those earlier registration dates. But we know it's a challenge. So the classes that you want to be looking at are anything in the major that's going to fulfill a requirement. If you've taken anatomy and phys, that opens up some things, but exercise physiology, biomechanics, those are always going to be classes that fill very quickly. And so you want to just keep on track, look at the roadmap, and also think about SJSU studies. So there are courses like diversity, stress, and health, which is Kin 169, that usually is going to have availability. And it fulfills, for most of our majors, a guided elective, as well as an upper division SJSU studies. And we have a number of classes like that. So we also have, I want to say it's not called film, it's visual representations in sport. We have upper division GE courses in RS and V. And so you can find the roadmap by going to the catalog. Let me get it.
We actually have them on our website as well.
And it's on the website. That is a good Google. A lot of things are Googleable. So I just put SJSU Kin roadmap and it pops up. But it's on the catalog and it's on our website. And what was the,
I put the link for our forms page on our kinesiology. If you scroll down quite probably a little bit more than halfway, it'll have roadmaps for all the specializations.
And then how do they get their SJSU email? I assume that's once you've enrolled and you're at a certain process in the enrollment.
Yep, they'll get an email saying, here's you're now registered for SJSU. Go through this process, set up your email, and then to log on to your email, you just log on to one.sjsu. That's a platform that has access to many things within San Jose State. Your MySJSU, your email, DocuSign,
Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah, so it's one-stop shopping for all our platforms with one umbrella platform called one.sjsu.
All right. And Daisy, I think, asked about electives. For prep for teaching, I think, I'm not sure which elective you're referring to. Most of those are the lower division GEs. There are not, I don't think, any electives for preparation for teaching, but that'll be, I don't know, Mr. Bohegian, if you want to answer that one.
Looking through the handbook right now, and it is long, so give me 1 second. the massive scroll as you saw earlier. Okay, so yeah, on page, what is it, 25 of the handbook, you're going to get a pretty in-depth detailing of the courses that you should be taking. You may have already looked at that, but you'll notice there's not a whole lot of guided electives, because the program is pretty set in stone, and that's for a reason. But essentially, any of the courses that you can take, you'll notice there's like some, there's like a Kin 105, there's Kin 107. There's some courses that should be readily available to take. A lot of them have to have Kin 70 as the prereq. So that's another kind of reason to go through the handbook. When you see like the prerequisite and maybe you don't have one of those taken, definitely get into one of those as soon as you can. Because the prereqs, they start to add up to a degree, because, we definitely don't want you maybe in your last semester, oh no, I need to take, Kin 175, but I need Kin 155 as the prereq. So that is definitely where you need to take a pretty proactive approach. Make sure you're hitting all those prereqs. And then again, send me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions. Don't be shy if you think it's like, too obvious of a question. I'd rather you come to me than make some guesses. So as far as like the classes that you need to take, the handbook will have that information for you. Also, you can do a little bit more digging on, our websites and all that stuff. But send me a message if you have more particular questions. Maybe you're looking at a specific class, and I can offer you some guidance before you get assigned a main advisor.
So again, for you all, the four-year roadmap is a little tricky, but if you've taken everything in those first 2 years, you want to make sure you've kind of got all that covered, and then you're going to move forward from there. So, but really the best thing if you're in preparation for teaching is to see Dr. Dom. Dr. Dom is going to be the advisor for all the preparation for teaching students, along with Dr. Siebert and Dr. Lee, and they'll be able to really guide you through that program. And at this point, you want to be looking at those core requirements as well. Other questions? Yeah, of course. You did a phenomenal job, and there are no questions. That's always a good day. You haven't asked this, but in the fall, we are going to have more classes in person, but a lot of our larger classes are going to remain online. That's the direction the university went. And so labs, for the most part, will be in person, but large lecture classes may be more likely to be online. And you'll see that when you register for classes. Let's see. When should we expect the email from Victoria?
It should be by the end of the week.
So when do we talk to an advisor? We have to know all of the classes. Okay, so this is an excellent question. When you go to talk to your advisor, I think at least for me, I can't speak for others, when students come in and say, what should I take? And it makes me crazy. So what I like for you to say is, this is what I'm thinking, am I on the right track? So again, that roadmap, my planner will help do some of this also, because that's based on the roadmaps. So you want to come with a plan and an idea. And you might come in, I've had students say, I'm going to take these 5 classes that all have labs that are really intensive. As an advisor, I'm going to say that's a terrible idea. Let's mix that up. Let's break that up a little bit. And so we can help. That's what major advisors are also going to be helpful in doing, is knowing the particularities of a course and what the requirements are. So everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's schedule is different. Sometimes y'all are working. So you should come in with a plan, and then we can walk through that with you. Dance classes for our activity courses. There's lots of dance offerings. Again, it's in the handbook. There's a list of which classes will fulfill the dance requirements. Some of those are in the dance department. Some of them are in our department.
Can I hop in really quick? Because sometimes if you go onto My Planner or My Progress, like, that stuff gets a little overwhelming. But if you go to My Progress and you just kind of scroll down, I just suggest kind of playing around. Scroll down, you'll notice there's a bunch of green, there's a bunch of red, there's a bunch of yellow. Green is good. That means you may have completed something. Red, that means it has not been completed. Yellow is in progress. But when you scroll down, try to expand all the windows. You can actually start clicking on the classes. And then there's just going to be this little box that says View All. I've had a lot of students say, oh, there's only 3 classes or there's only 10 classes. But if you click that Expand All or View All, you'll notice there's going to be a vast list of classes. Once you start clicking on those links, you'll get instructors, you'll get rooms, you'll get time. So My Progress has a lot of information. Again, take your time, unless you want to dive into the deep end. But if you just explore, expand all, you can see specific specializations, you can see specific activity courses and all that good stuff. So just play around with your My Progress if you have some time over the weekend.
You want to take those, Mr. Bohegian?
Yeah, let me try to keep up here.
So one's about a lower division class.
Oh, okay. So yeah, definitely try to get those lower divisions as quickly as you can. As long as you're not in need of a prerequisite for a class, that is when things start to get backed up a little bit. So take special note of the prerequisites, whichever class that you're looking for, whichever one you have planned out. As long as you meet those prerequisites, you should be okay. But yeah, just GE, lower division GE, try to get those taken care of. And pretty much, just kind of, sorry, I got to slow down the reading of the chat myself here. But bottom line, as long as you're meeting those prerequisites, you should be fine. Let's see, if My Planner, My Progress isn't updated with the rest of our transfer credits. Let's see, can we expect them to be updated at a later time? As mentioned previously, it does take a while to kind of get everything matriculated in there. But if you have any questions about maybe like an articulation, a lot of you, the majority of you are going to be transfer students from like a community college or a junior college. There will be some articulation agreements. If something hasn't posted just yet, just type in San Jose State or what's a common JC like De Anza or Foothill. If you put in San Jose State Foothill articulation, you'll see a direct kind of line. So give you a little bit more of a heads up just in case a class hasn't maybe shown up on your records just yet. So Caitlin, it will say online, it'll say on campus, it'll say synchronous, it'll say asynchronous. So My Progress is going to have a lot of that. The course schedule is going to have a lot of that as well. Let me see. Okay, Michael, good question. Send me an email. Oftentimes you'll need to demonstrate proof of completion, maybe an unofficial transcript. So have your unofficial transcript ready to share, just in case. Yes. Oh, Victoria answered that question. It looks like. All right. Summer 21. That is a good question. I believe the courses are still open to enroll. Let me double check before I give you any bad information, though. 1 second.
Hugo, are these new transfer students able to register for summer 21?
If they get their material in on time, yeah, they may have enrollment dates. So the best thing to do is check your MySGSU once you have access to your MySGSU, and look where it says on your lower. Once you log on to your MySGSU, on the lower right-hand side of your screen, it'll say enrollment dates. If it says open enrollment, that means you don't have an enrollment date. But if you click on where it says details and little red letters, that's a link that opens up, and then you get an option to check. It might list summer 21 as an option, and like a little circle where you can check on that, or it'll say fall 21 with a little circle. You click on that. So you click on any one of those options, summer. If it's say for example you're in summer, click on the little circle that says summer. Check that, and then click on details, and it'll tell you if you have an enrollment appointment. If it says open enrollment, that means you cannot enroll. So it depends if you were accepted early or if you're accepted late.
And I will let folks know most of our summer classes, because that registration opened in March, most of those classes are fairly full. So anything in the major is going to be full. And our faculty have already been inundated with requests for additional ads. So if you can find something that fits, that's maybe a general education course, that might work, but we're not going to have a lot of space in the summer courses. So I would be aware of that.
So Elijah, about the kin specializations on your my progress or my planner, whichever one, I don't remember, where you have to pick it. So you can change specializations if it's early on. We advise, if you pick, let's just say exercise and fitness, and decide you want to go to rehab, you would go through Mr. Bohegian to change that. Once you pick it, you can't change it. We have to do it on the back end. Usually we have to know why. It depends on what classes you've already changed, but it is possible to change it. But try to pick early on, so you're not taking a bunch of courses and then decide something else. It'd be easier to decide early on if you want to change specializations.
Thank you. And Andy has reposted his question. So Andy, probably not with an advisor right now. You can meet with the Student Success Center over the summer, but that's a great thing to do in the fall, right? So get settled in, meet with an advisor in the fall, and that's where you can do that educational plan. And that's when you meet every semester. Maybe the timing didn't work. Maybe there's a conflict and things don't go exactly how you plan. You can use my planner, work with your advisor, and do that years out, so that you know where you're going. So absolutely, that's something you can do with your advisor.
So there was also a couple questions about financial aid. We don't really handle that in the department level. That would be more to actually contact financial aid. I know when I was a student, I was able to accept it online through my SJSU. If I wanted grants or loans or anything, I was able to accept it. But if you guys aren't seeing anything, I would contact the financial aid. Your paperwork might not be through yet. Your FAFSA, if you did a FAFSA, might not be up there yet. So I would contact financial aid, and they should be able to help you when it comes to financial aid.
So the easiest thing to do for financial aid is just do open up a browser, type in SJSU financial aid, click on that link, and then there'll be a chat function, really cool chat function. Where's the registrar, financial aid, admissions, they all now have a chat function where you can just click on the website, and then there's a little blue box somewhere along there, has a Spartan meme on there. And then you can just type in your name, your student ID number, and your question. And then you can start a chat with a representative from there. And they're pretty good about providing technical assistance for all these things, all these questions that you have.
Should set one of those up for the department.
Right. I think you can look at the articulation agreements with the CSU. If you've taken KIM classes at another CSU, you can always submit a petition, and the faculty who teaches the course here will look at the course there. It's important to have a syllabus of the class that you took so that we can do an evaluation. Sometimes there's articulation agreements, and sometimes we look at the course. Sometimes it's very similar, sometimes it's not. And so the faculty who teaches the course does that approval. We're getting you a little earlier than we usually do, so the questions are a little bit different than when we see you in June and July. Anything else? Daisy, you have lots of good questions. Double major is, I don't know exactly how that works. I was a double major, so I highly value that. So we have a sneezing colleague in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
You have to check in with the other major that you're interested in. The main question is, will you graduate in a timely manner? The university does not want you here having 180 units. Okay, if you can complete the second major within 140 units or so, then the other major may accept you into the second major. So so in other words, you have two majors, the priority being the one you're in now, and then you're trying to add a second major. It is doable, but we also have to see which of the prerequisites you have for the second major. And then to add a major, you have to get approval or to be accepted into that major, and it has to be signed off by the chair of that major. And the first thing they're going to look at is how long is it going to take you to graduate? Are you going to be here to 190 units? And that's the answer is no. If we look at what you have from previously taken already, then and you can get it done within a reasonable amount of time. And again, that's kind of it's kind of subjective what is reasonable, but the university says around 140 units or so. Then it's up to that chair whether they want to accept you or not.
Minors are a little different.
Yeah.
Like for us, we don't necessarily accept everybody. Each one has a different amount of units. I think ours is 18 units. Other departments are, it just depends. But you still have to go through the same process of getting accepted into their minors. But you would go through that department to apply. Every department has different ways of applying for minors.
Yeah, some specializations, depending on the specialization you want to go in, there's simply not room for a minor. But I like to use sport management and culture as the example. There's a lot of wiggle room there to pursue a bunch of different guided electives, and there's definitely room to fit a minor in there. So make sure you're reading through the one last time. I'll say it one last time. Make sure you're reading the handbook. It has kind of all you need to know. But certain specializations just simply don't have room for minors because of the core, the subcore. There's just additional requirements there. So I just put that out in the chat as well.
I also just put in the chat, there's a frequently asked questions. And I just, again, Google is your friend. I put SJSU double majors. And so got this page. So it talks about how you declare a double major or a minor. And I can't remember, I think you have to have at least 9 units. Is that right? You go for a minor. Most are sort of between 12 and 18 units for a minor. Minors are going to be easier to do than a major.
You have to also make sure that some have prereqs too. Like I know ours has prerequisites, so you got to make sure that you're looking at those too on top of everything else. So I would do a lot of research on minors and then decide, because there is a lot of extra classes you do have to take.
Yep.
In terms of the internship, we want upper division standing. I don't think you'd want to do it in your first semester, but you can do it in your junior year, and that would be absolutely fine. Formerly Miss Carrillo and now Miss Castro will be our internship manager is going to be a really good source of information for that. I don't know that I would encourage that in your very first semester, but she'll be able to answer your questions.
Yeah, generally I see a lot of students take the internship or fulfill the internship in their senior year. Oftentimes there's internships available over the summer, so maybe not this summer, maybe next summer. That's something you can look to as well. So generally, it's not a rule, but generally I see seniors completing the internship requirement.
When it comes to internships, make sure we have our internship page, and I'll drop it in the chat after this. You guys do have to have, wherever you do an internship does have to have I think it's a UOA, if I'm correct, agreement with the university, and you have to get an ad code to get that class. So make sure you do a lot of this research before the semester, because there's a lot of paperwork that you have to submit to actually get into the internship to get the credits for it. So do a lot of research before. I just had a student said he's graduating and he's been doing an internship for 14 weeks but he doesn't have the class, and how can he do it? Because there's a lot more that goes into it. You have to do a report, there's a lot of stuff that has to go into the internship. It's not just going to work and doing it. There's a lot more to it. So make sure you do the investigation and all the paperwork beforehand so that you're set and not last minute trying to get into that class when it's too late to add it.
It takes planning and coordination and communication with your internship coordinator, which is Professor Carrillo, or Castro now.
It's Castro, and I just looked. It looks like she updated her email, so she was working on that last week, and things were moving.
And that link that Professor Semerjian dropped in there about the internships, that's your starting point. all the information you can know about internships is there, including a lot of valuable links.
And it is really important, like Ms. Wilson said, to look at that page before you contact her. So, you know, she gets a lot of like, oh, I'm thinking about an internship. 90% of the questions you have are going to be on that page. So that's a really good place to start so that you can really get your questions answered when you have those more intensive questions.
Another thing, once you guys finish and complete that form to get on your advisor and on the email list, we send out, I want to say almost weekly, bi-weekly internship opportunities that companies send to us. So we have job postings that we send out. We have internship postings. We send out deadlines, good news. So it's really important to fill out that form to get on there because we pretty much hand everybody jobs and job announcements and internships. And Nicholas, you get on that email list when you fill out that student intake form that I will be sending out by the end of the week. Once you fill that out, everybody that fills it out, I put it on our email list and you'll get a welcome email saying you've been added to the Kin email list, and you'll get emails from me, Dr. Semerjian, Mr. Bohegian, Dr. Chin, Miss Costa, I don't know how to say your last name now. So you'll get a lot of that. I think that's you, Hugo. The international experience.
The questions are going for everybody regarding the international experiences. What are the alternatives to take? So the alternatives, you have to meet with an advisor, one of the Student Success Center advisors, and we'll go over your options. There's two options currently. One is to take an online class called APSC 198 ITL, and you have to meet with us so we can go over your situation and then fill out the petition. Once you meet with us, it's pretty automatic. The dean trusts us to go through to vet the situation that you're in, and it's a 1-unit class. It's credit, no credit, and it's paired with the VIP program, Virtual International Partners, where you're assigned an international student who's enrolled at San Jose State, and you meet twice over the semester through Zoom, and you interview each other for 1/2 hour. So basically a total of 1 hour to interview each other, and you learn from each other's experiences. And then through the class, you're guided to write a series of introspective essays they're supposed to enrich your appreciation for internationalism or diversity, etc. That's one option. The other option is to actually do 20 hours of community service, again, if it's safe. Okay, right now during the pandemic, we're still a lot of questions about being able to do community service without risk to yourself and getting exposed to COVID. So that's an emerging thing right now to be able to do the 20 hours of community service. But for the most part, we're just encouraging our students who qualify for the alternative experience to do the VIP and the class. And you can only get enrolled in that class if we fill out the petition, you get on the roster, and then the Liliana Gomez, who's a dean's assistant in charge of managing the database, will email you a week before the semester starts saying, here's your ad code for APSC 198 ITL. Go ahead and enroll. Once you enroll, the instructor will then send you an email saying, here's the Canvas shell for this class. Go ahead and start. But it starts with by meeting with an advisor from the Student Success Center so we can go over your situation and get the paperwork going. And we'll explain the rest later.
I'll jump in on okay. There's two that I want to talk about. Daniel or Mr. Bohegian's already responded to the change in specialization. As Ms. Wilson said earlier, you'll select that in my SJSU. If you then want to change it, you can work with myself or Mr. Bohegian and we can change that internally, but that's not a major change. In terms of international, there are lots of options within the department, but across the university as well. And so our faculty have gone to Ireland, South Korea, the UK, Vietnam. I'm forgetting a lot of them. We've been in, I forget where in Africa, but I know we've gone to at least one, maybe 2 sites in Africa. But there's also all kinds of offerings through SJSU studies. So it could meet a general education requirement as well. And they're offered globally. So there's lots to look at, and you can look at the Study Away and Abroad website. But if you look at this college website on the international experience, it'll have links and all that information. But they're all over the place. Some are in the summer, some are over the winter, some are over spring break. You can also do a semester abroad. So there's lots of different ways to meet that international experience.
I have to do a quick housekeeping thing, folks. We have 30 more minutes here, but but don't leave. In other words, I saw a thank you from somebody. I'm hoping that doesn't mean I'll see y'all later. Thank you very much. Before you leave, you have to go back to the main room to do an exit survey. Otherwise, it's like you weren't here. Okay, so please don't leave the breakout room and leave the meeting. If you gotta leave, go back to the main room and check out. You have to check out. Otherwise, it's like you weren't even here. And
Sorry, I usually do that as part of the slideshow, but we
yeah.
rolling
So
into
don't
questions.
leave yet. Okay, good. To add on to what Dr. Bohegian said about the international experience, yeah, the international experience has a very good listing of all the programs that are available. Not only that, but things are changing week by week. In other words, society is opening up more opportunities to travel because communities like Spain and England are open to international travel now, whereas before they weren't. And so our international studies program is working hard to restart those relationships and commitments that we had with universities, with programs, with hotels, et cetera, et cetera. And then the first week in fall, there are going to be a lot of info sessions for study abroad opportunities or faculty-led programs. So check that website regularly during the first week for info sessions. They're all going to be Zoom. That way you can start, doing your research, whether how much it's going to cost. When will I be able to do this? Will I be able to get academic credit for an SJSU studies class, an RSV or Z, RS or V course, etc. Those are all good questions that will be answered through the info sessions. And the first couple of weeks of every semester is a good time for those info sessions.
I think I dropped that in the chat.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Oh, I had started typing earlier. Answering that earlier. Other questions? Great questions from y'all.
Well, I guess I'd like to make a plug for something that I do I'm also the health professor's advisor, and every semester, early in the semester, I will post a listing of all these workshops and info sessions that I'm coordinating. We have info sessions for occupational therapy, physical therapy, and physician assistant, and where we have programs come to campus and they'll explain to you what they're looking for as far as prerequisites, as far as extracurricular activities. By extracurricular activities, we're talking about observation hours. Most programs require anywhere from 50 to 1,000 hours of clinical observation hours. And that's a requirement. It's not like I only did 50, I'm just gonna apply anyways. What happens? No. So these programs will also want to recruit you. So they're going to tell you why their program is so exceptional when it comes to clinical experience and what proportion of their students actually get licensed within the first year. Those kinds are important factors. And then the other thing is we'll also be doing just general, what is a PT? What is a physician assistant? We'll also be talking about how do you prepare to apply to submit a competitive application to physical therapy programs, to occupational therapy programs, to physician assistant programs. So it's a pretty robust list of webinars or workshops. So we'll be sending those out periodically. Let's just keep an eye out for those emails from us.
Anything else? And I'm going to put Miss Costa's new email, and I realized I was saying it wrong too, but it's in there.
Forgot to mention that we have two very, very good clubs affiliated with the kinesiology department. the pre-occupational therapy club, and the pre-physical therapy club. I work with both those clubs, and they are very well organized. They're a great resource for students interested in exploring or who are already committed and want to just prepare for graduate programs in occupational therapy or physical therapy. I encourage you to join them and contribute in terms of what Dr. Semerjian mentioned earlier, leadership development for yourself. Because if you do invest in leadership development yourself, the whole club benefits. And also, once you're there, they'll share information about where they get internships, both for the program and for just preparing to be a professional of some sorts. And then the expectation is that when you do your internship, you'll share with the newer students that are coming in similarly. So anyways, I encourage you to look out for ways to join those clubs and at least go to a first several meetings, see if it's for you.
And we had a really strong Kinesiology Ambassadors Club. I think we had an odd moment and then COVID hit. And so we're hoping to revitalize that in the fall. So those of you who are interested in getting engaged in clubs, there will be lots of opportunities for leadership and engagement in the Kinesiology Ambassadors Club. And thank you to Mr. Bohegian for putting that in the link. And there's all kinds of clubs across campus, which you'll learn more about in your orientations. I'm hoping the Quidditch Club comes back.
If there's any pre-meds out there, and we always find one or two in kinesiology, make sure you come and see me. I'm also a pre-med advisor for our campus. The main pre-med advisor are in biology, but they're restricted to the College of Science students. When we're restricted to seeing our students within our college. So if you're pre-med, pre-dental, pre-PA, you're welcome to come and see me. I'm very knowledgeable in all those as well.
I don't know if there's a tennis club. If you're talking about the teams, we're an NCAA Division I team, so athletes are recruited. You could contact the coach, but that is a recruitment process into the athletics teams. But there are a number of rec clubs, and we have a really great, robust club program. So that might be maybe more appropriate. All right, well, it was great talking to you all. Any other questions? Again, I'm Dr. Semerjian. I'm the chair of kinesiology. I want to thank Mr. Bohegian and Ms. Wilson for joining us today, and always love having Hugo on here to support us from the college. Thanks, everybody.
And we thank you for joining us. We look forward to working with you all the way till you graduate.
And a reminder, don't leave entirely. Go back to the main room so that you can check out and you get credit for attending today. Good. I hope it was helpful. I hope y'all got the information you needed. It's a little weird doing it into the black boxes of your names. So I miss doing it in the room. Ms. Wilson and I used to do these live and in person. And so we look forward to that. Thanks so much.
Oh, let me turn off the recording.